Hey there, and welcome to today's video. For today's video, we are doing something that's called the 3x3 challenge. So basically, there's a lot of takes for this challenge. It depends on what you really want to do with it. So some people take it as you can only build a house in a 3x3 block. So by doing that, it basically means that you only have 9 tiles in total to build a house. I've done plenty of tiny houses, but I also saw one that was just putting 3x3 blocks together and making a house out of it. So I decided to give it a go and do something the same way. So basically what I did was even the porches were to be 3x3 blocks. So absolutely every room in this house is a 3x3. The only thing that isn't 3x3 is the backyard itself. And that's mainly because it wouldn't really make sense to have that be a 3x3 as well. I could have done it, so if you want me to just do a backyard that only has 3x3, let me know. While I was building this house, I didn't really have a set amount of 3x3 blocks that I wanted to have, or a layout for that matter. If you notice, what I've actually been doing so far is just the outside. So to me, this was a fun challenge, but at the same time, I didn't really want to have to think about what the layout was going to be. So what I did in this case, which sometimes I do, but I believe I tend to look more at the layout before anything. This time around, though, I decided to go completely on what the outside was going to look like first, and then the inside. Being 3x3 blocks, it was either going to be very symmetrical, or it was going to be completely out of whack. Now, I'm sure some people have done this challenge where they remove the inner walls, but for me, I decided that I wanted to do it with the 3x3 blocks the way that they are. So I didn't remove any of the internal walls. All the rooms are exactly 3x3. And even whenever I used an archway, it's something that could easily be replaced by a door. So the house could be completely sectioned off without any issues. And I believe that that's the essence of what this challenge calls for, really. So something that I typically do all the way at the end is something that I decided to do first this time around. Typically, I will look at colors and landscaping and basically everything on the outside last. This time around, though, you can tell that I really didn't want to work on the inside. So yes, I actually completed the whole outside before even going inside. But most of that was cut off, even though it was pretty simple. I still decided not to bog down the video with that type of content. Now the real challenge begins on the inside. A 3x3 is big enough to fit a double bed, but the question was, will it actually be functional? Now, this house is completely play tested. I did take the time to test it since there are some things that I place here and there that I was wondering if it would actually work or not. And as I was playtesting the house, I found out that it's very weird, but a double bed does fit on a 3x3, but it fits on its own terms. I decided to place a master bathroom along with it, and that meant that there was going to be 2 doors in that 3x3. I don't know if it was because of the doors or if it was because of where the bedroom door was, but I did end up having to move the whole bed just to make sure that everything was usable. Now, being play tested, yes, the house is 100% usable. There's absolutely nothing that does not work in this house, and I made sure of it. Now, while building it, some things did change. You won't see it in the build itself, but you'll see it in the screenshots at the end. So one of the big examples that I can think of was the stairway, which is another thing I cut out quite a bit since I struggled with it. Here's the issue with it. It is a 3x1 to have a regular staircase go up on the first level of wall height. While I could have had it in a way that it would have worked, it was going to be either blocking a window, blocking doors, or just blocking something else upstairs. I wanted to have as much real estate as I could upstairs, and honestly, downstairs it was a whole room just for the stairwell. I did initially want it to be in the front of the house, but that quickly was not going to work since that is just going to block all the doorways to the rest of the house. There was also the option of moving some of the blocks around, but I figured that wasn't really what I wanted for this house either. So what I ended up doing instead was I ended up building it with platforms and putting a staircase going towards the platform and then a staircase going upstairs. that meant that only 2 blocks were going to be blocked off on the upstairs hallway. But by doing that, I actually figured out that for some reason, the stairs don't line up the way that they're supposed to. It's not a matter of height on the platform, because I tested basically all the levels. It's mainly an issue of 2 staircases touching what it does not like. So what ended up happening was the bottom stairwell that I put in there, I actually needed to take off, and the way up is actually all platforms. You'll see at the end on the screenshots, but the stairs are usable. Your sim will just probably turn around a couple times, wondering where the next direction is, but it is usable to get upstairs, and I did have a lot of real estate up there. As far as the bathrooms go, this house was intended with perhaps a teen and 2 kids and a toddler. So it's able to accommodate 6 sims in total, and here was a bit of the issue with it. There is a bathtub, but not in the master bedroom. What I figured with that one was, since the bedroom is so small, I actually got some dressers into the bathroom. And again, everything works 100%. There's absolutely nothing that does not work in this house. Even if it works in a bit of a wonky way, it still works. So I actually really liked that bathroom design, since it was able to have everything that you need in a bathroom, just not a tub, which you probably could still get in there if you tried hard enough. But it wasn't really necessary, since downstairs there's a tub. So for the kids' bedrooms, it really wouldn't have been possible to get so many things in there if it wasn't for the bunk beds. Granted, I did end up putting dressers and I ended up putting desks and everything, but it makes the house definitely feel a lot more like what you would expect IRL than just being like, hey, this is all Sims allowed me to do, so here's what you get. With one of the kids' bedrooms, the one that has a toddler in it, it was so frustrating playtesting that room, because believe it or not, the one thing that wasn't allowing the bunk bed to work was the dresser. The dresser was completely on the opposite wall, and for some reason it still could not work. So, long story short, for that room, it ended up being flipped completely around, but all the items are exactly the same. And again, you'll see that when we get to the screenshots at the end. The entryway, I wanted to have at least a table in there or something just to fill it up a bit more, but considering the access points that I had from that hallway, if I put literally anything in there that wasn't a table in the middle of the room, it was going to start blocking some of the other doors, it was going to cause issues when playtesting, so I decided to just go light on the decoration and put some stuff here and there without overcrowding the house. The one thing I was the most surprised about working in this house was actually the dining room table. I expected there to be a lot of issues with sitting at least one of the chairs. Ironically enough, the one closest to the corner, to the double doors going outside, that one I honestly did not expect would work, and it works in the funniest ways. Your sim will actually open up the doors to go outside and then turn back around and sit down. I found that hilarious, but it completely works. The only thing that I would say does not work in this house is in the living room, the corner seats, which makes sense because at the end of the day, there are no sectionals in Sims, at least not in base game. So that is completely made up with different pieces of couches. But anyways, we are getting close to the end of the video, so I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this challenge? I would like to say that I pulled it off just because I didn't completely knock down walls and say, well, here's my space now. It was a really fun challenge since it's not something that I tend to do. I don't think I tend to build houses that are this compartmentalized. And it's odd because that is what you will see mostly in houses IRL. But I still had a lot of fun building it, and I would still like to know what you think about it. Do you think you would have done anything differently? But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great weekend!